Hello everybody, I am Fuzzy Face. Welcome back today to this Motorsport Manager career we've got going on. We're back with Audi. We're heading to Portugal for the Tondela Grand Prix. Should be a good one. It's going to be a dry race for the first time in a few races. Last time out in Russia, we finished first with Vettel, fourth with Gasly. Gasly went from 16th on the grid to 4th. Vettel went from 4th to 1st. We just seem to have massive amounts of race pace. In Russia, there's not many corners. And we just bossed the race pretty much. It was a pretty decent race for us. Mick Schumacher was the car chasing us. He's in an Alfa Romeo. It's a pretty good Alfa Romeo at the moment. Just couldn't catch us in the end. But that does mean now we have 2 wins this season after the first 2 races. Things were not looking promising for us. It looked like we were going to be a long way behind. But we've come back. We've got 2 wins on the board now. We've currently got a 14-point gap back to Mercedes. And then behind them, Williams, Ferrari, Ford, Haas, Alfa Romeo, Renault, McLaren and Red Bull are all in and about there fighting for that 3rd place. So hopefully some of those can start picking up as we move forward. In terms of the drivers' standings, Charles Leclerc is still leading, should I say, with 2 wins this season. Vettel and Gasly with 1 win apiece are closing in on him. We'll just switch to the car development screen. I'll just pick up my notebook and we'll go down what the other teams have done. It still seems like a lot of the teams, including us, are still obsessed with building new rear wings. As you can see, we have now moved up to 3rd in the standings of having the best rear wing, but Red Bull, Williams, Ferrari, Aston Martin, Prima and ourselves all built new rear wings and got them on the car for this race. Alfa Romeo still top, even though they haven't built a new rear wing. Have they built a new rear wing over the first 4 races? No, just the first. No, it wasn't. The rear wing that Alfa Romeo started with this season is just so powerful that even with upgrades, no one else has got close to them yet. So Alfa Romeo are still sitting pretty at the top of the order in terms of rear wing. Meanwhile, Mercedes have gone ahead and built a new engine. They are the only team to do so, but that has obviously passed down to McLaren and Aston Martin, who are both Mercedes customer teams. And as you can see, that Mercedes and Renault engine is exactly the same in terms of the rating of it. It is exactly the same. Mercedes just caught up. That Renault engine was more powerful than everyone else by quite a long shot. Mercedes have gone ahead and built a new engine. They have got themselves up to speed with their power unit. As you can see, Renault and then Williams, who are a Renault customer, are just sat behind them, and McLaren and Aston Martin behind that. So the Williams customer Renault engine and then McLaren and Aston Martin, that is the same rating as well. So the top 5 teams pretty much do have the same engine. And then you see we are sat in the gap between Ferrari and then the Ferrari customer teams of Alfa Romeo and Prima. And then we've got the Honda, AlphaTauri. The Ford Haas has fallen quite here, and the Ford Haas team are just sat in the gap between the Red Bull and then in between the slightly lower rating of the engine in the AlphaTauri. So a lot of these engines getting back to the point where everyone is pretty close together. Other than that, it seems like the AI has now got a new obsession with brakes as well. Brakes going into the car of Mercedes, although that is because they've got the engine. Then they move on to get upgraded, a slight boost to their brakes, just how we work the works teams out. McLaren have got new brakes, Renault new brakes, Alfa Romeo new brakes, whereas Haas have got a new suspension. And Red Bull currently the best with the brakes. Yeah. So what we're going to be doing in the next round of upgrades is we are going to try and improve our braking system. I mean, it is pretty poor. I mean, the gearbox is absolutely dreadful in the car, but it does take a long time, 30 days to do a gearbox. We wouldn't have had it ready for the next race, which is in South Africa, where the gearbox and the brakes are crucial. So rather than having gearbox and brakes that are up to scratch, I decided to go with the brakes, which only take just over 14 days to build. We will have the brakes done for South Africa. So at least we'll have 2 parts, which are going to be pretty decent heading into that race. The gearbox will still be way behind, but it will be rainy as well. It looks like when we get to South Africa, a full-on wet weekend again. That's like the 3rd in 6 races it'll be that we've had lots of rain. But anyway, we're going to get into this episode. It is the Portuguese Grand Prix. Pierre Gasly does still have the dodgy net, but we're going to keep him in because his other stats are still better than Stoffel van Dorn. I don't think we're going to keep Stoffel on as a reserve driver after this season. Doesn't seem quite fair to him. He might get to move to another team. And Gasly is a little bit happier with the car for some reason, even though it's the same car. But anyway, we are going to get into practice, which you don't get to see, unfortunately, and we'll be back in a second to go through qualifying. So practice is over. Aston Martin's actually looking pretty quick here. The Alfa Romeo seemingly pretty quick as well. We were 12th and 15th. Not the quickest of tracks for us. Whether that is what it's going to be like after qualifying, we don't know. Just to mention as well, I have put the difficulty up another notch. So that does usually make the AI like another tenth quicker. Hopefully that might give us a little bit more competitiveness during the races. We know we're still not quite there with the qualifying, so I don't know what it's going to be like after this qualifying. But we'll just have to take that risk as well. So the rest of the field does get a slight boost on us. It is going to be dry, so we can just run wherever we want. So we're going to get Gasly out first here on the soft tyre, and then we will get Sebastian Vettel out of the pits just after him. Just to mention with Pierre Gasly as well, if we look down here, if you look about halfway down, just below overtake specialist, there is a new timesheet hero stat boost that he's got here. It was a dilemma. We went with the timesheet hero, which means he does get a +2 to every stat during practice and qualifying. So it might mean that Gasly is going to out qualify Sebastian Vettel from this point forward, because he does have the boost in qualifying. As you can see, Gasly is right up there in 6th place. Vettel about a tenth slower. A tenth of a second puts him all the way down in 13th. So we're going to let Vettel run first here, since Gasly is pretty much the lead car in qualifying this time. We've got the two McLarens looking pretty quick. The Ferraris, the Aston Martins that were quick in practice are still looking pretty quick here in qualifying as well. We're going to get Gasly out on track as he's dropped down to 7th place, as Esteban Ocon has gone quicker in the Renault. Magnussen is up into 6th in the Aston Martin. It's still Sainz out in pole position though. Everyone currently out on their fast laps at the moment. Pierre Gasly is starting at the moment. Vettel is quicker over the first sector than his first lap, goes quickest through the second. It doesn't look like he's going to improve much. He's almost 5 tenths down, unless he can have a massive improvement over the third sector. Vettel goes from 16th to 16th, which is not great. Norris, meanwhile, could be on for a pole position. Norris comes across the line, goes from 4th to 1st place. Norris besting his teammate, although it looks like Lewis Hamilton might be able to upset that, as he's coming across. And Lewis Hamilton is behind. He's behind Gasly, so we watch Gasly jump from 10th to 7th. And then can Hamilton go ahead and get ahead of that? No, he can't. No, he can't. So here's the two McLarens on the front row of the grid, then the two Ferraris, then the two Ford Haas's, and then we get up there in 7th place. So that is a pretty different grid from what we've seen. McLaren have just not been able to put it together recently, but their car suiting this track and getting up a little bit more to speed here with Norris and Carlos Sainz. Now a Ferrari driver in real life. A little bit of trivia, in this game, Sainz was going to make the jump to Ferrari. I decided against it because Charles Leclerc ended up leaving the team, and we're going to put Sainz in there, but I decided against it and kept Sainz with McLaren. It would have been pretty interesting though if we'd have gone ahead and made that move before it actually happened in real life. I think we should take the medium. It's 25 laps. This might be a 2-stop race. I mean, it's pretty cool, but it's going to be so hard, isn't it? Should we run on the softs first and make sure we can get through, or should we get on the mediums? No, we're going to have to run on the softs out because Gasly is in the top 10, so we do have to start on the soft. But 11 and 14, we're going to only just get through here, so it might be a 2-stop strategy, might be the best way to go. Vettel's a little bit out of it, so you can go on the mediums first. I mean, you could do this on 2 mediums, but as per my own rules, I have to use 2 tyre compounds, whereas the AI doesn't, but most of them will be starting on the softs anyway. But here is the grid for the 2023 Portuguese Grand Prix. It's Lando Norris, Carlos Sainz on the front row of the grid. I think this is the first time this has happened for the McLaren team. Then we've got the 2 Ferraris of Hamilton and Ricciardo, and then the 2 Ford Haas's of Max Verstappen and Joseph Newgarden. I think that's a first for this game as well, where we've had the first 3 rows of the grid with teammates side by side. Then we get Pierre Gasly. George Russell is the first Mercedes on the grid. Magnussen 9th in an Aston Martin, good session for him. Esteban Ocon 10th in the Renault. Valtteri Bottas 11th. Hulkenberg 12th in a Williams. Then we got Schumacher in the Alfa 13th, followed by Albon in the Alfa. Tauri in 14th. Alonso Red Bull 15th. Vips, his teammate alongside him. Red Bull not having a great season here. Stroll is 17th in that second Aston Martin. Vettel is 18th. Nick de Vries in the Williams. Williams have a car that pretty much suits this track, but de Vries not getting much out of the Williams this time around. Leclerc all the way down in 20th in that Mercedes. I mean, that Mercedes is pretty powerful. It should be pretty powerful around this track with the new engine. But anyway, Giovinazzi is 21st, Sergio Perez 22nd, and then we've got Schwartzman in the Prima and Tsunoda in the AlphaTauri. Bringing up the rear, Tsunoda, who did have a pole last season, and we'll switch to Pierre Gasly here for the start of the race. And we're going to see anyone jump off at Ford Haas. That is Newgarden getting off the line, but he gets held up. Verstappen gets a jump on Daniel Ricciardo. Can he make it stick? Looks like the two Ford Haases are going to get the Ferraris here. Maybe Gasly has dropped down, so maybe we'll just switch up here because there's a little bit of interesting battle here with the Ford Haases and Hamilton getting close to the McLarens as well through the first few corners as things start to settle down. And that is Ricciardo getting his place back there past Max Verstappen. Former teammates in the Red Bull battling away here. Verstappen up the inside will get the better run here, and Verstappen moves ahead, although Ricciardo coming back at him round the outside. Ricciardo makes that point stick. Norris has lost his first place from pole position. His teammate has jumped him over the first lap here, and we've still got the two McLarens, Ferraris, Ford Haases really side by side. Gasly has got himself back up here, but we are just going to have to look after these tyres from this point forward. Maybe we're going to have to commit to a two-stop, because I don't think we can do 25 laps. We've already lost 2 laps off this tyre over the first lap, so I think we're going to have to pretty much commit to a two-stop here. And maybe if we get pushing with Vettel here, commit to a two-stop pretty early and get pushing on the tyres. There's no point trying to hold back for a one-stop, because then we're just going to be running slow for most of the race. We're going to get off this first set of tyres pretty quickly. Commit to a two-stop race, see if we can move our way through the order and just see where we can go from there. Sainz meanwhile is getting away from his teammate here as we enter the third lap, and Gasly, who's the hit? George Russell. You can hear the frustration there. Gasly in a really good position, no action taken at least. So that is not too bad. The front wing is... Are we losing pace here? Do we need to get into the pits this lap? We might as well get in. So this means we can go medium to finish this race, or maybe even medium soft if we get the opportunity. So we're not actually losing that much time. We're just losing a couple of seconds to get the new front wing on. And there is a little bit of risk on the pit stop, but we're still going to go balanced. So we will get Gasly in. So we haven't really lost much time. We've only lost about 2 seconds through that. At least he didn't end up with a drive-through penalty, which is not too bad. So if we just speed around till we get in the pits, we managed to get past Russell, who's probably got damage to his front wing as well. Russell is getting into the pits with us. Will we be quicker than him through the pits? We do. And it looks like we've got a few other cars. Giovinazzi, and who else is in here as well? Just Giovinazzi, there's a couple of cars. Hamilton has crashed. Hamilton's just crashed. We've got a yellow flag in sector 3. Hamilton out of this race. Ferrari were in for a good race here. Gasly is back out and into traffic. He hasn't actually lost that much time through the pits. It's a pretty quick pit stop, it seems, here, because you cut out a really slow corner. So Gasly is straight back out into the thick of things here. We might as well keep him pushing, because we might as well go medium. We've got to try and make our way back through this traffic now. And Sebastian Vettel, we've still got him pushing. He's currently up into 8th place. That is an AlphaTauri of Alexander Albon he's battling away with. He's managed to get past Charles Leclerc on track as well. And he's currently complaining his tyre wear is pretty high. His tyres are overheated. We're just going to keep doing that because we don't want to try... Or should we just cool down very briefly? If we cool down though, we're going to lose time to the car in front. As you can see, with 6 attempts. If we just go into full on backup mode, we'll just start to drop time like nobody's business over a course of a lap. Although we're not losing that much, although we're coming under pressure from Valtteri Bottas now if we get pushing again straight after that. whereas Gasly himself is 17th. We're dropping a lot of time because we're just stuck in so much traffic here after that pit stop. And who is that? Nick De Vries is retired. I'm guessing he was the one that Giovinazzi collided with, and that's why he's got a problem with the car. Perez is under investigation here as well. Perez has got damage to his cars. I mean, this is like the race last season in Belgium all over again. We've got cars colliding with each other all over the place. I'm guessing because it's pretty cool. We've got cars pushing, which seems to cause a lot more collisions here. And Gasly's pretty much caught up all the way to Vettel. Even though he's been into the pits, fixed the front wing, changed his tyres. He's back out on track and yeah, he's about 5/10 quicker of a lap here. He's currently behind Vips as well in a Red Bull that hasn't pitted. Gasly just doing absolutely brilliant through this race to have recovered. We are committed to, oh, we've got lockups all over the place, so close to other cars as well. We just need to clear this traffic though. And we'll cool Vettel down again. Oh, there's so many cars just so close behind him. I don't want to cool down. As you see, as soon as we cool down, it just lets the other cars go flying past. Alonso, meanwhile, has got damage. Looks like he is going to have to... looks like he's got a drive-through penalty as well. He's going to have to come into the pits as well. So all these collisions working out for us. The only ones not making collisions are the cars that are a bit spread out. The top 5 cars, it seems. Sainz looks like he could be on for a win here, 1-2 for McLaren if they can keep their act together. Ford Haas in for a good run here as well. And Ricciardo, as you can see, it looks like most of these teams are going to have to commit to a 2-stop. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to 1-stop. And Alonso, it looks... Oh, Gasly's run wide. Gasly has run wide as we're pushing him, just as we were praising him. And let's just cool down for a little bit. And we might as well... We want to get Vettel off this tyre, but not too early, because he's going to finish. He's going to go soft to soft. Is Vettel to finish his race? He's in a pretty good position at the moment in 10th place. He is up into the point. Gasly's still there or thereabouts because he's the lead car out of all the ones that have pitted, apart from Magnussen. So he is still in a position here to move himself back up the order, but since we're just pushing so much, trying to get back up into the points, he did end up running wide. We're still pushing all out with Sebastian Vettel. He is going to get into the pits this time around. We'll go balanced, even though there's a little bit of risk to that. Vettel is in. The pit stop is complete. It's all done. We'll just push for the first lap out of the pits, and Vettel goes through Mick Schumacher there. He is ahead of his teammate here out on track now, and he is on a quicker tyre because Gasly started on the softs to medium and then back to softs. We'll get Gasly pushing again now until he needs to pit again. And Vettel is going to go medium, soft, medium. We're still waiting for the front runners to come into the pits. Norris has done a better job of holding on to his tyre. Norris might be able to 1-stop this race. Sainz may need to make 2 pit stops here since he's gone through his tyre a lot quicker. Sainz is staying out for another lap here from the lead position. I think the softs go up 15%. He's going to get into the pits this time around. Newgarden has made a pit stop already in the Ford Haas. He's gone for the soft, so the Haas committing to a 2-stop strategy here. What are we going to see the McLarens do here? And we're just going to cool Sebastian Vettel down a bit, and Sainz has committed to a 2-stop. So you can see the pit stop is pretty short here. They're not in the pits that long, as Sainz has come back out alongside his teammate on the quicker tyre now. We'll be able to get back past him. Meanwhile, we're going to cool Gasly down. He's just stuck in a lot of traffic now as well. Yeah, so Gasly, with that running wide, has pretty much... I'm just going to keep him in medium for a little bit, and we'll switch Vettel back to medium as well. So we might be outside the points with both cars here, as Norris comes into the pits. Verstappen in the pits as well in the Ford Haas. Norris is in for quite a while there. Verstappen's going to come out seemingly a little bit closer to him. Norris and Verstappen going for the 1-stop here, although Sainz is far enough up the road that this 2-stop should work out for him. He's still in prime position. Newgarden has jumped his teammate meanwhile with a powerful undercut, although Newgarden is pretty much committed to a 2-stop strategy here as well, as is Ricciardo in the Ferrari. Bottas has gone a long way, still yet to pit in the Alfa Romeo. He's gone a hell of a long way on that tyre as we are now trying to fight our way back towards the top 10 here, and we've got a lot of fuel recovery to do. Should we just get Gasly out of this traffic as well? He's in a position, what are people getting off the medium tyre if you just keep running normally? Should we just do that with Gasly if we get to push him for a little bit and then just keep him in medium till the end of the race if he gets one quick lap out of these tyres, or two quick laps maybe, and then onto, I mean, if we can get another lap out of this tyre, it's running almost hot at the moment. Hulkenberg and Ocon are coming into the pit, so if we get around this time with Gasly, should be able to just make the end of the race on a soft tyre hopefully. So we'll just keep pushing into the pits and then just hope that he can do the 11 laps on that soft tyre. Whereas Vettel, I mean, should we get pushing? Because at any point now we can get onto another pair of softs. This one is not going to see us through to the end of the race. We might as well just push and then think about getting another pair of softs till the end of the race. Gasly is not dropping off just yet. These tyres haven't gone off the cliff. I think it's 10% for the mediums. He just gets in on the 10% mark. Another decent pit stop there. And we do have to look after these tyres to the end of the race. Gasly comes out of the pits into 17th, 16th, not 17th place. Can't get past Giovinazzi. He's in a lot of traffic. We can't really push these tyres, so hopefully he's quick enough on them. A few cars that do still have to stop. And Vettel is just going to push into the pits now. It looks like Vettel is going to be our only points finish in this race as Carlos Sainz sets the quickest lap of the race. Norris, Newgarden, Verstappen. This is going to be a really good race for Ford Haas. We're not going to look at what the Constructors' Championship looks like. We're going to save that till after the race to see how close the other teams have got to us. I don't think Ferrari have done enough to jump above us, but McLaren and Ford Haas have done enough to move right up and get pretty close as well. And Gasly is just dropping positions here as well as Mick Schumacher in the Alfa Romeo overtakes him on track. And Vettel, we're getting pretty close now. The tyres are overheated, so we're going to get in and off this tyre. Hopefully the pit stop is alright, which it is. Almost quicker in the pits than Daniel Ricciardo. We've come out right behind Daniel Ricciardo here and we can push for a little bit here. Vettel gets out of the pits into 9th place. We're alongside the Ferrari, but we do have to start thinking about recovering the fuel. We might as well just go push mode here. If we can stay in 9th place, maybe get Hulkenberg. Although Hulkenberg is doing a one stop here. Albon is not. So it looks like this might be our position. It looks like Sainz is definitely going to get the win here. He's so far ahead. He's making his final pit stop on this two-stop strategy. Norris was 15 seconds behind before the pits. And as you can see, you don't really lose much time through the pits, if at all. About 5, 7, about 7-ish seconds, it seems, 6 maybe. Magnussen is in the pits as well. And is Vettel going to move up here? Can we get the Aston Martin? No, we don't. The Aston Martin comes out right in between Hulkenberg and Ricciardo here. Aston Martin don't have a really good car this year, but Magnussen putting it together in this race. As we saw, he does get a lot out of the cars that he's in. If you remember back to the first season, he was in the Williams. He had a couple of really good qualifying sessions. I think maybe he was on the front row of the grid at least once, maybe twice, but can't quite remember. But we just have to make sure we recover this fuel with Vettel before the end of the race. We don't want to drop down. Gasly is pretty much out of it. We're going to put him on auto drive till the end of the race. Actually, no, we're not. Because we don't want him to get through that tyre. There are 7 laps left. He's a bit close on that soft tyre, is Gasly. We're just going to leave him like this, running like this. He should be able to finish the end of the race. We've got more cars still hitting each other out on track. Schumacher, it looks, has had a coming together with someone. And Vettel, we're still just running here. 6 laps remaining, 8 laps. So we do still have some room to push on this tyre. What we're going to do for a little bit though is just cool down. We're getting pretty close to Nico Hulkenberg on that medium. We should be able to hang on to him. Hopefully, even though he is pushing, we should be quicker than that medium tyre at the moment. If we just cool down briefly, get back into the optimum range, and then we'll have one big push, see if we can get Hulkenberg. And that AlphaTauri is getting a little close. We don't have much room to push with the fuel, but we can push on these tyres. See if we'll have one go at Hulkenberg here. Otherwise, we're just going to have to then sit back. We're going to have like 2 laps where we can run like this. And then we're just going to have to consider trying to get to the end of the race on these soft tyres then. Carlos Sainz does go even quicker. Gasly is just stuck right at the back of the grid. Sainz is going to go on to win. Norris is going to be a one good A 1-2 for McLaren, which is good to see. Ford Haas's are still up there as well. Magnussen running 5th. Ricciardo has dropped to the Aston Martin. I don't know what has happened to Ricciardo, his race pace, after like the first pit stop has been really off here. And we've got like one more lap here before we start overheating, and we're going to have to start cooling off. It doesn't look like we've got the pace to get past that Renault-powered Williams. Hulkenberg on that medium is starting to pull away, so we are going to have to start thinking about cooling down now. Just don't want this tyre to get too overheated and to shred it and then not get to the end of the race. It means we push that. That's what I mean. That one bit of pushing, the tyres getting overheated and then having to cool down. We didn't gain much through pushing, and it is starting to affect our performance. Now we do get overtaken by Alexander Albon on track. We can run neutral now though. It looks like we're going to drop the position to Valtteri Bottas as well, because we don't really have that much room for pushing. 5 laps, so close, and I don't want them to drop off and we just fall out of the points entirely. I mean, we should have the pace on Esteban Ocon. Oh, let's just do it for like 1 lap, see if we can get back ahead of the AlphaTauri. Not even 1 lap, maybe half a lap. We do have a little bit of room in the tyre, and there we go, we are back past the AlphaTauri and get back to it now. Gasly, meanwhile, is just stuck in traffic here. Looks like we've got a little bit of room to push with him as well, although not that much. I mean, his tyre's gone. I mean, Vettel does have a lot. I don't know why it's saying he doesn't have that much tyre left. I mean, maybe we could push a little bit more than we are doing. Don't really want to risk it too much with Gasly. Can't really do anything for him. But we're just trying to make sure Vettel can secure this 8th place as well. I mean, it's a little bit of a downer, isn't it? After 2 wins over the last 2 races to be 8th and 19th. I mean, Gasly was in a really good position in this race. We committed to a 2-stop pretty early. We had him push him a little bit too much that he then ran wide. I think it was around this corner, wasn't it? Around the final bend. Which then wrecked his race. He's like 15 seconds behind his teammate at this point. But it looks like we're going to hold Vettel on for 8th place here. We do have room to push now. Obviously, we're going to be able to get through to the end of the race. The 2 McLarens so far ahead. Verstappen will be on the podium in the Ford Haas. Newgarden will finish 4th, it looks like, although he's under pressure from Kevin Magnussen. Is Magnussen pushing here? Magnussen obviously does have fresher tyres. Newgarden is getting to the point where these could drop off. He's still got 1 lap to go. We've got about a second gap here, so maybe we should stick with this one. And we'll see if Kevin Magnussen can get anywhere close. Obviously, that Ford Haas is a lot quicker, and it looks like it's doing that. And Gasly is just dropping further down the order. I mean, he still does have the dodgy net, which means as the race goes on, his fitness just gets lower. Anyway, we don't even need to push now with Vettel. We just make sure he can get across the line. And no, it doesn't look like Magnussen can get anywhere close. Sainz has finished. He has won. Norris will come across the line in 2nd place. That is Sainz's first win in this McLaren. Norris has had 2 wins over the previous 2 seasons. A win in each season. He gets 2nd of 2. Ford Haases will grab 3rd and 4th. Newgarden comes across in 4th. Magnussen gets a very respectable 5th place in the Aston Martin. Ricciardo in the Ferrari will grab 6th. Hulkenberg 7th. Vettel does get 8th. Albon gets pretty close to him at the end, and Bottas grabs 10th place here. The 2 Mercedes out of the points. Which is good for us. Mercedes out of the points. But just how much? McLaren have picked up 43 points here today. So they should be pretty close to the top of the order now. And if we get to see a McLaren fight this season, we had George Russell with a 10-second time penalty, drive-through penalty for Alonso, Perez, Gasly. He said he had no action. He didn't actually serve a drive-through penalty. I don't remember him doing one. Did we have another collision? It did say no action. And Nick De Vries had a drive-through penalty as well. Charles Leclerc is still top of the drivers' standings, even though he didn't score points. Lando Norris moves up to 3rd. Sainz with the win. His first points of the season in that McLaren is up into 9th. Gasly drops down to 5th as Norris moves up. And then Newgarden and Verstappen climb up as well. So if we head to the constructors' standings, we are still leading over Mercedes. Mercedes didn't score any points. McLaren get a little bit close. They're still 20 points behind, and the Ford Haas are up there as well. Then we've got Williams, Ferrari struggling this season. Alfa Romeo have a pretty good car, should be a little bit better than this. Renault and Red Bull really struggling this season. Aston Martin pick up points with Kevin Magnussen as well. And then bringing up the rear, we've got AlphaTauri and Prima. So a little disappointing. Gasly should have been up in the points. He ran wide. We came 6th overall in the race in terms of all the cars' results. Collated together, we lose £2 million. £2 million coming out of the bank account. Nothing we can do about that since with the win. So yeah, we'll just go with the interview. On a positive note, qualifying seemed to go very well for you. I'll just say we're delighted. It gives a little bit of chairman happiness back. And we need to do the pit crew before next time. I don't think there's anyone decent we do. Oh, he's pretty good. I might think about bringing him in over this and the next race. It's 10 days to Cape Town. I don't know how many of the cars are going to improve or get new parts in time for that, because it is a pretty short gap. We will get our brakes done. But it is rain. We usually perform well in the rain. But the gearbox is crucial. Hopefully the brakes move up a bit, but with the gearbox being so behind the other teams, so much behind the other teams, it could be a difficult race for us. We might end up losing our lead in the Constructors' Championship after the next race. But anyway, that will be coming up in the next episode. I'm pretty happy with that. We notched the difficulty up as well. We still seem pretty quick. We would have had a decent result. We seem to be more about where we should be with the car, with the difficulty turned up with the 6th best overall car, which really means we should be 11th and 12th, a bit higher depending on the track, a bit lower depending on the track. But I'm pretty happy going forward with the difficulty level the way it is set. But anyway, that is it for this episode. Thank you everybody for tuning in. But until next time, I'll see you down the road in Cape Town for the South African Grand Prix. But until that time, goodbye.